DonInLondon, hello, it's December the 2nd, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance of addiction was alcohol, my behaviour quite addicted to workaholic, relationshipaholic, you name it. Anything to fill that gap inside, to make me feel better about life, feel better about me, and believe I was being a success. So many years of working as hard as I possibly could, trying to make relationships work and never quite getting there, and always taking the edge off in some way or other. Could have been material things or drink, but drink got me in the end. That was the one. Addicted and dependent 24/7 in the gutter, and it took a long time to get there, and I climbed the mountain career-wise and then fell off it in a real tragic way, and couldn't make sense of life anymore. So it took its toll, and these days I'm more happy living in the day, making life work as it is, rather than wishing it were different. So the gift for me of recovery, one day at a time, being sober, not obsessing or worrying about who and what people think of me, and not fearing judgment of others, just being open, honest and willing to make life work one day at a time. So what a change in me, and what made it possible? What made it possible for me to be sober? Well, simply family who loved me when I couldn't love myself, and I won't forget that ever. Community, professionals who helped me along the way, and very often, I suppose, revived me from a place of oblivion. And these days I rely on a fellowship to keep me sober, so I can be a part of family, community and what is going on, and be useful in life in some way or other, and not fear judgment either. We will always get judged, that's the way of the world, but I need not judge myself so harshly and badly. Progress simply one day at a time, and never perfection. So sobriety, contingent on my spiritual condition, and what helps me understand what spiritual is for me, which is just simply the truth of now, living in the moment as it is, the imperfectly perfect moment of now. A fellowship came along in my life. Ignorant for many years of my condition, I'd heard of Alcoholics Anonymous, but never thought it applied to me. That's the nature of the illness. It says we don't have it. It applies to other people, not to us. So a fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous alerted me to my true condition, that I needed to be sober on a daily basis in order to make life work. And I go to fellowship meetings and I learn, experience, strength and hope from other people. And here I just share my experience, strength and hope based on the wisdom learned from others. And that's so important. So the fellowship of AA, I go to a meeting as regularly as I can, a day at a time. And what works for me, one day at a time, is just being here and being open to what is around me, and to be included and to love people and be loved back and useful. So AA, the fellowship, I talk about it. I don't share about other people. They are unique, authentic, and they share where they choose. But I share the message of experience, strength and hope, and what AA can do. And here is the AA statement of intent. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And when I share that, I'm slowing myself down into the moment of now, to just share a little bit of the wisdom that I learn on a daily basis. So how do I do that? Well, I utilise the books of AA literature, as Bill sees it. It was good reading today for me, all about spiritual, and daily reflections as well. And the daily reflections is about the 12 steps and the 12 traditions of AA, the 12 steps of action to change my attitude and behaviour, and the 12 traditions to hold the fellowship together. So changing my attitude and behaviour to be open, honest and willing, that's what it starts with. And step 12 is a big one. That's the 12th step. It's December, so 12 months, 12 steps. Step 12 says, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And I do, as best I can, just simply making progress. So for December 2nd in the daily reflections, and it's about prayer and meditation and sharing the message, it talks about serenity. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. As I continued to go to meetings and work the steps, something began to happen to me. I felt confused because I wasn't sure what it was that I was feeling, and then I realised I was experiencing serenity. It was a good feeling, but where had it come from? Then I realised it had come as the result of these steps, 12 steps of action. The program may not always be easy to practice, but I had to acknowledge that my serenity had come to me after working the steps. As I work the steps in everything I do, practicing these principles in all my affairs, that is, the 12 steps on a daily basis. Now I find that I am awake to God, or to good conscience, depending on your faith, to others and to myself. The spiritual awakening I have enjoyed as the result of working the steps is the awareness that I am no longer alone. In other words, I'm included, I'm part of. I can make choices today based on good information rather than self-obsession, self-will, ego, pride and all those horrible things that we can get stuck in. And as Bill sees it today, I just do these linearly. So it's page 274, Going It Alone. Going it alone in spiritual matters is dangerous. How many times have we heard well-intentioned people claim the guidance of God when it was plain they were mistaken? Lacking both practice and humility, they had deluded themselves and so were able to justify the most arrant nonsense on the ground that this was what God had told them. People of very high spiritual development always insist on checking with friends or spiritual advisors the guidance they feel they have received from God. Surely then a novice ought not lay himself open to the chance of making foolish, perhaps tragic blunders, while the comment or advice of others may not be infallible. It is likely to be more specific than any direct guidance we may receive while we are still inexperienced in establishing contact with a power greater than ourselves. So in other words, as we're learning, I'm just checking the time here, as we're learning how to be able to access our spiritual growth, that is, improving our conscious contact with reality, for me, and living life in the moment, this imperfectly perfect moment of now, I start to work out how to live, and not actually say to myself what I hear in my head is necessarily from the higher power. It could be from simply my will, my desire and my wants rather than my needs. So on a daily basis I need to check those out. Am I giving as well as receiving all those good things? So, and you know, in the last few days I've seen a lot of people, and I've heard a number of chats from a person who has stage 4 lymphoma cancer, and from people who have hurt themselves so badly with drink that there was no chance of survival, or it seems so. And the gift is, if we're sober in the moment of now, we are living life to the full that we can, no matter how long we've got left. And I'm very aware that in the past I put myself in such danger that people weren't sure whether I would make it through the day, and intensive care is not a nice place to be for whatever reason. So acceptance today is of prime importance. That's serenity prayer to God, to the God of your understanding, or to good conscience, or to a higher power which suits you, which is the wisdom of the world, the universe, nature, providence, wherever it comes from. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is simply and always for me, just for today.